Arrancamos. Anthony from the neighborhood en Latino Mix. Dale play a tu bocina.
Bienvenidos, señores. Welcome to the show. This is From the Neighborhood. Saturday, 11 o'clock. We are getting you guys started on getting to know who's your neighbor. ¿Quién es tu vecino? ¿Qué es lo que están haciendo? Let's break through the headlines of what the news have to say about our neighborhoods, and let's tell them what's really going down. Who is the people that are living in our communities, and what are they doing? ¿Qué es lo que están haciendo? Usually, we're having people come onto the show that are doing some pretty impressive things, but it's not saying that you can't do it. They're coming out of every neighborhood that you already heard of, been to, know somebody who lives there, and they're making things happen. So, señores, ustedes están en este programa escuchando gentes locales, personas que son así como tú y yo, y están aprendiendo y están habiendo maneras que se pueden inspirar para hacer cosas en su vecindario y más allá, en todo el mundo, para impactarlo y hacer cosas grandísimas. So, guys, this is the program where you're getting to know these people that are making it happen. And if you've got a great topic, if you've got a great story, if you know a friend, nominate them. Say, hey, you should be on this program. Invítalo. Introduce them. Y ya esta persona puede estar aquí contando su historia y dejándonos saber qué es lo que están haciendo. Así que conéctense conmigo, connect with me, and let me know who you are. I'm from the neighborhood, whether it's on the website, Instagram, anywhere you look, just type in the 3 words, from the neighborhood, and we'll get connected and hear your story. Also, make sure to support the show. We've got some pretty cool merch. We're representing different neighborhoods, so you can pick yourself a little hoodie like this one, get the water bottle, a whole bunch of other things, get a mug, because, you know, the weather is kind of like that hot chocolate sort of thing you want right now. Well, guess what? We've got that at store.fromtheneighborhood.com. So again, same 3 words, guys, from the neighborhood. Starting to feel like a genie in the lamp. It's only 3. It's only 3, guys. So with that, if you have a business and you want to advertise, you want to let them get known in your community, déjales saber que ustedes están ahí, corriendo tu negocio, conectándote a la comunidad, fácil. Comunícate con nosotros aquí en Latino Mix y te vamos a ayudar con todos los programas, todas las activaciones que podemos hacer para tu negocio crecer. So if you've got a business, we'll activate it. We'll get it be known. Latino Mix has an entire team. You can reach out to me directly and I'll help you out. And we'll make it happen so that you are a business that is from the neighborhood. So with this, guys, let me tell you about who we're going to talk to today. Well, they're from Brooklyn. So you already know it's good. When it's Brooklyn, it's great. And we've got somebody from Brooklyn who's going to talk to us about what they're doing there in a major organization. And when you look at him and when you get to know him, you're going to say he's just like us. And this is the remarkable thing, that there's many, many people that are making it happen. This isn't like someone's coming from another planet and changing the world. It's our own community members. So, señores, ustedes están aquí para compartir en eso. Van a ser parte de esta jornada. Van a aprender mucho y van a conocer una persona que está haciendo el impacto. And I think it's going to go beyond Brooklyn. At this point, I've seen people show up, and I'm not going to tell you too much more because the guests has got their own story, but I've seen people show up that are from another part of the world, and I'm like, how did they even get here? Well, thank goodness we've got technology, and that's how you guys are listening to me. So make sure to download the app or get on the website latinomix2x's.com and tune right in. So with that, folks, I'm going to tell you one last thing. We've got a segment here which is brought to us by Homebridge Financial. It's a great segment and giving you some home tips, letting you guys know what it is to own a home or maintain it. So we've got Travis Bowens, and Travis Bowens, NMLS number 11634. He's with the Bowens Mortgage Team over at Homebridge Financial. He's a branch manager, mortgage loan originator. So let's hear what Travis Bowens has to say, and let's jump to the segment, Home Tips from a Pro. Okay, guys, we've got this brand new segment that we've been having folks come through and talk to us about home tips. These are home tips from a pro that are helping you stay from the neighborhood. And this special segment is brought to us by a sponsor. So let me go ahead and read off a couple of things regarding this statement. When we have a sponsor segment, just know that the information contained in this segment is sponsored by someone. It's not Latino Mix. It's not From the Neighborhood. We are not real estate brokerages. Our related brands and companies are not involved in real estate. However, if you do have interest in real estate, contact the mentioned real estate agent or professional for more information. And the information that we're going to put forward is deemed accurate, reliable, but we cannot guarantee it. So make sure you independently verify it for yourself. Now, our sponsor who brings us this great information has been Travis Bowens. His NMLS number is 11634. He's the Bowens Mortgage Team at Homebridge, NMLS number 1563740, and he's a branch manager, mortgage loan originator. Travis Bowens is knowledgeable in all areas regarding mortgage industry, including sales, operations, and management regarding real estate. So he understands how to build a mortgage solution perfect for each buyer's unique needs. Reach out to him, whether by going over there at 800 Westchester Avenue, Suite S606 in Rye Brook, New York, or give him a call, 845-656 1718. And send them an email, travis.bowens@homebridge.com. So una vez, 845-656-1718 para comunicarse con Travis Bowens, que le puede solucionar todas sus preguntas que usted tenga sobre hipotecas. And guess what, folks? We have Travis Bowens in the building, our sponsor, to give us some home tips from a pro. What's up, Travis?
Hey, Anthony, how you doing? Great to be here today.
Good. I'm glad having you here. I want you to help us with some tidbits, some quick things that you could tell us to help people stay from the neighborhood or own a piece of their neighborhood. What could they do?
Hey, Anthony, a great question, great thoughts here. One of the things that's important is credit. I get a lot of questions about credit, especially from first-time home buyers. And one of the things that people need to realize about credit is that while the credit scores are important, you really need to take a look at the actual credit and what the report tells us. The report tells us a story. And one of the stories that the report tells us is how much debt that you're actually carrying.
Interesting.
Right. And one of the things that people come to me with is, hey, Travis, I've got a credit card and my credit card has $15,000 of debt. I don't know if I can buy. And while that's important, what we're really concerned with is how much that monthly payment is.
Wow, interesting. So it's like what you have to put out of your pocket each month, not what you owe in as a total, right? Can you sustain that, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Can you, when you're making these payments, can you sustain your monthly debt when it comes to a house?
Wow, that's very interesting. Señores, mira, estamos hablando de que la persona no tiene que tener un crédito que sea completamente disponible. Puede ser que tenga una deuda de hasta $15,000, you said $15,000, but can you afford, que ustedes pueden pagar esa mensualidad, lo que usted tiene que pagar por mes, ¿lo puede cumplir? Sí o no. Eso es lo que los bancos están mirando. So they're looking to see, can you make it with your monthly debt obligations? And now, when a person has this kind of debt, is it important that they try to keep it low or pay it off? What do you suggest they do first?
Well, everyone is different. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So what I tell everyone is contact a local mortgage professional, right? So when it comes to the actual debt, what you want to do is based off of what your total monthly obligations are, take a look and see what the affordability is.
Okay.
Right? You can pay off the debt, but if you pay off the debt and you're utilizing up your cash flow, that may not be the best scenario for you. So everyone's situation is different. If you have extra cash and you want to pay off the debt because you want to keep your total monthly payments low, then you could go ahead and pay it. But everyone is different.
All right, well, cada persona es diferente, señores, así que usted tiene que comunicarse con su prestamista, su bancario, y aquí tenemos Travis Bowens que hace eso para ustedes. Travis, why don't you drop your contact information so people can reach you?
Well, you can reach me on my phone, which is 845-656-1718. That's really the best way to reach me. You could call me, you could text me, you could email me at travis.bowens@homebridge.com. It all comes to the phone and I pick it up.
Ya sabe, señores, usted puede comunicarse con él por teléfono 845-656-1718. Y si le quiere pasar un email, es travis.bowens@homebridge.com. Thank you so much, Travis. Great having you here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
De regreso con Anthony from the Neighborhood.
All right, guys, we are right back here. And I just told you a little bit about my guest. And now we're going to get more into it. So I'm not going to go super far, but he's been involved, obviously, with many things in the city. He's involved with an amazing group that's serving people just like me and you. And it's beautiful because it's adding color to the corporate world. And I think with that, when you have a mixture of culture, when you have this diversity, you have the opportunity to evolve super fast because we're not looking at things from just one side of the table. So I'm very delighted to bring this person on. And for my Latinos who are out there, ustedes no se quedan atrás. Ustedes tienen que venir con su cultura, su pasión, su idioma, su comida, sus sabores, porque eso es lo que necesitamos aquí en los Estados Unidos. This is the melting pot. We need that here. So cuando ustedes están aquí, no sean tímidos. Hablan. Y estén en una persona aquí hoy, en este programa, que te va a inspirar para que ustedes hablen, se dejen conocer, se dejan ver y puedan incorporar y poner como algo de valor su cultura hacia adelante. So this is an amazing person. I can't wait to bring him out. And, I obviously start with a dope song every single morning. And that's going to be T.I. because we are going to bring him out. Let's go.
De regreso con Anthony from the Neighborhood.
Así mismo. Yes. Bring him out. ¿Quién es el invitado que tengamos hoy? And it's coming straight out of Brooklyn. I'd like you guys to give a very warm welcome. Una bienvenida al invitado que tengamos aquí, Jeff Lindor of the Gentleman's Factory. Jeff, what's happening, man?
Hey, man, I'm super happy and super excited to be here, man.
Yeah, how's Brooklyn?
Brooklyn is beautiful. Brooklyn is beautiful. I love Brooklyn. Brooklyn all day.
Love it, man. And I'm so happy you guys came out here. I mean, you've coming from a distance, you know? I make the trip all the time to make the show happen, but you're coming out here because I know you're a person that's about putting people together. Tú siempre has ponido la persona junta y ahora venir aquí a Long Island es una bendición de escuchar lo que tú tienes que decir. So truly a blessing to hear what you have to say.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Jeff, I want to start off with like the way I like to start interviews, which is we're going to talk about Gentleman's Factory. We're going to talk about all of these things that you've been involved in, especially how it's bringing people together. And as I mentioned before, bringing people into higher conversations, right? Really elevating where we stand. And you're being a big contributor of that. But I want to know about Jeff going back to the point where you opened up your eyes, where you first laid your feet on the ground, because we all come from like humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people get to this status and they're like, how the hell am I going to do it? Right? Like, there's no way I could even imagine this.
Yep.
But you're a guy who's doing it. So I want people to know where you started.
Oh, man. Thank you, man. Well, so I'm a proud immigrant. I was born in Haiti, right?
Yeah.
So born in Haiti and raised in Brooklyn, Coney Island, Brooklyn.
Nice. So mira, señores, somos vecinos. Él es de Haití. Yo soy de la República Dominicana. We are neighbors.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
he is then Brooklyn, like you transported to Brooklyn at what age?
Yeah, 3 years old. 3 years
Wow.
old. Yeah, I mean, so like I'm like a Brooklynite.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Do you speak do you speak Creole?
I do. Yeah, definitely speak Creole.
I had somebody speak here. They actually made me do. Was it parfait? It's rice and something.
Dîner avec ce soir?
Divya Soxwa, is that how it is?
Well, I mean, so there's so many dishes, so right? So I don't.
There's a dish with rice that they told me, and it was something parfois, something like
sauce-pois.
Sauce-pois.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Dîner avec sauce-pois.
Terrible
right?
student.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you still remember how to speak.
Of course.
Did you speak it at home?
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Oh.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, and I teach my children Creole too, right?
Nice.
So,
I love it.
And then obviously my parents, etc. So
Yeah.
So
How was it coming here in Brooklyn? Like, did you find yourself in a community where there's a lot of people from Haiti, or?
No. So I was raised in Coney Island, right? So Coney Island, Brooklyn, it's a well, for the black folks there are like African American predominantly, right?
So English speaking.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
English speaking. And, obviously there's a lot of, Russian Jewish,
Right.
Brighton Beach is in close proximity to there, Seagate, et cetera. So, so there weren't a lot of, Haitian folks there, but I frequent in Flatbush, right? So that's where I grew up,
yes.
so my parents had to make sure that they found some level of.
Did they go shopping there?
Of course, everything was on Flatbush.
Everything's on Flatbush.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
I remember there's streets like that because I grew up in Bushwick, and it was Graham Ave, Knickerbocker Ave. Like there were certain streets, Fulton Street. We would go to Fulton Street a lot too, where it was like, the streets you went to, and it literally was our street malls.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'll find things from back home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so that's why Flatbush is definitely where we frequented.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm glad that, people get a chance to see this because a lot of people, they forget, So, señores, una persona inmigrante llegó aquí a los 3 años y se acostumbró a la vida aquí en Nueva York y se buscó amigos y encontró lugares donde le hacía recordar de su casa. So, these places reminded you of home.
Absolutely.
You go back and you're saying to yourself like, wow, I find my dishes like what we just said right now,
totally.
where I goofed up the dish name. You found places that were like really connecting with you. What were some of the challenges that you saw like when you got here and amongst your own folks, like maybe for your parents or amongst your peers?
Well, yeah, I mean, so, raised in like the late 80s, early 90s, and obviously the early 2000s, so Haitians, didn't have the, there was a lot of discrimination against, against Haitian people, et cetera. A lot of different stereotypes and all of that stuff. So that was a huge challenge. Shout out to Wyclef though, right? Because Wyclef,
yeah, I was gonna say.
I remember he helped with the re-imaging of how people saw Haitians, right?
Yeah.
So him being in the Grammys and having a Haitian flag, right? And him just really kind of being in the forefront of just showcasing the Haitian pride, which, Haitian people are really prideful and really powerful people, but just how mass media positioned Haiti. So, Wyclef and so many others others, really helped to the reshaping of, the beautiful history that the country has, right? Not only in the Caribbean, but on Earth, right? So like growing up, that was a bit of a challenge, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like you're under the radar, right? I remember having that like as a kid. Here in New York, I would be like, "Hey, I'm Dominican," and everybody was like, "Oh, well, you're Puerto Rican."
Yeah.
I was like, "What is this? Why do I get tossed into these like different categories?" And it was unfortunate because it was really the folks who you were speaking to who were really not aware or worldly.
Yeah.
And I remember traveling to Egypt when I would say, "Hey, I'm from the Dominican Republic," or my parents are actually. I was born in New York, but long story short, they didn't know where that was.
Yeah.
But I'd say Cuba. I know where you are. Cuba, yes, great cigars. Like they would say that.
Yep.
And I would wonder why. And it's really like the way media, right?
Absolutely.
Media is a really strong force. And, this is one of the reasons I do this is because it's like we've got to get the people out there, not just like when an incident happens in a neighborhood, they're just like, oh, yeah, they were a great person. And it's like, this is the only representation you have of people.
Absolutely.
Right? Whereas there's companies and who knows what other inventions are being made by these people, but you don't acclimate that to them.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that, the fact that, you tell me you have these challenges, because I've had all sorts of guests from everywhere and they say the same thing. Where I first landed, there wasn't a lot of people like this. I would translate things for my parents. Was that you?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because being Haitian and having parents that were English speaking, and then they had to learn English, and obviously my two sisters had to relearn, and myself, luckily it was just a bit easier because I was 3 years old. So of course I understood Creole and spoke Creole, but I'm still developing my vernacular, right? So so me transitioning into this new world and this new country was a bit easier than my parents and my sisters.
Yeah. Well, you're a kid, but you're doing grown-up things.
Yeah, exactly. Massive responsibility.
Yeah. What's some of the things you remember when you were a kid that you situations you had to solve?
No, I mean, translating for my parents, right?
Yeah.
That's one. But then also, like, I grew up in a not so rough neighborhood. It was a rough neighborhood. Like, it was the hood, right?
I was going to say, you hang out on Astro World?
Like Astroland.
Astroland, sorry. Yeah.
So now many people think of Coney Island as Astroland, right? You know, but there was another side of it.
Well, they call it Luna Park now.
Oh, Luna Park.
Yeah.
Right? Astroland.
I remember Astroland.
Yeah, of course. Coney
There you go.
Right? No, but then now, like, there's a lot of, like, NYCHA facilities there, right? There's a lot of projects there, and then that's where I grew up. So, I had to grow up quick, you know, because I had to navigate the situations at hand. And I learned emotional intelligence because I had to make sure that as I'm navigating certain circles that I'm giving this person a pound, or, staying away from this person because I don't want to be affiliated like as though I'm a part of a gang, and when I'm not, but then I don't want to disrespect the gang members. So I had to make sure that I could just navigate all of those different circles at the age of 10. Right?
Yes.
So now think about it, right? Like, I'm 10 years old navigating all of these circles of survival and making sure that the cops don't see me with this crew because then I wouldn't want to get arrested. All of these things at the age of 10. So I'm able to take those experiences into business, right? Harvard can't teach me.
No.
Stanford can't teach me. Because I'm at the age of 10, 12, 15, 18, literally trying to survive.
Yeah, this isn't like, let me see your Facebook friends list. This is like literally, let me see how you make out in a real world version of, like, I don't know, I would call them like a first person shooter. You're walking up to folks, you're having an exchange. You don't know if that exchange has its repercussion later on.
Sure.
And at that time, I remember as a kid having to navigate the same space. I started working when I was 10 years old, and it was like, how do you deal with certain things in a neighborhood where it's like everybody knows your name? And you had to really see who you associated yourself with and really try to navigate those waters, because it's a lot of problems you can find yourself with, right?
Absolutely.
Now, I recognize that you found a solution to all of these problems, right? Let's just say to 99 problems. And you started developing a place where now we feel included. And I'm going to definitely jump to that. But I really just want to highlight the fact that, señores, estas personas tuvo problemas sociales en vecindarios difíciles. Y estamos hablando de un tiempo donde no había comunicaciones como sea hoy, que usted dice, me están haciendo el bullying por Facebook. Estamos hablando cosas de personas. Eso era de darse la mano, ¿cómo está usted? Si no se llevaban bien, pudiera haber consecuencias. So a lot of consequences by not, saying hello to the right person or not saying hello to the, wrong person. Because sometimes you just got to say hello out of obligation, right? It's just a rite of passage.
Absolutely.
Nadie quiere pagar la tarifa en el puente, right? We don't want to pay the toll booth, but you got to pay.
Yep.
You got to pay. So just pay the Verrazano, even though you may not know who's Verrazano. But you got to cross, and that's what it is.
Absolutely.
So let's go over this real quick, because I love the solution you came up with, but I love even more that you've been able to navigate through 99 problems. Let's take it to Brooklyn with my man Jay-Z.
De regreso con Anthony from the neighborhood.
That's right, 99 problems. But let me tell you what, finding a house is not one, because we've got a special home feature segment right here. These are homes from the neighborhood. And this segment here is information that is contained within our sponsors' contribution. So Latino Mix from the neighborhood and its related brands and companies are not a real estate brokerage. So we tell you to reach out to that real estate agent directly for any information. We all deem it accurate, but we cannot guarantee it. So make sure to reach out to them and independently verify yourself. So this segment is sponsored by Rosario Law Group. Rosario Law Group, she's been in the business for 15 years. She's located at 42 Guy Lombardo Avenue, Suite 206, Freeport, New York. She's got a second office at 3602 East Tremont Avenue in the Bronx. She handles real estate closings, deed transfers, lender representation, 1031 exchanges, and much, much more. And being in Rosario's hands means trusting someone who will look at you as family. You can give her a call at 516-517-2340, 516-517-2340, y el email es rosariolaw@gmail.com, rosariolaw@gmail.com. So let's go ahead and read off these houses that she has sent us over. And these are our agents that you can reach out to today and talk to them about what they have available. So we're going to go to the Bronx with 1711 Davidson Avenue, Unit 6J in the Bronx. It's for $199,000. It's a co-op, 5-room, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, located in a mid-rise building. She says it's really nice, oversized 2-bedroom. Reach out to Brittany Snell of Corcoran, 347-731-1614. And for our next one, we're going to go ahead and go to 3236 Corsa Avenue, again in the Bronx. This is a single family house for $550,000. It is a 1-family, as I mentioned, 8 rooms, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath colonial house. They said it's been lovely kept. Reach out to Ramajit Daonoa. She's from eXp Realty, 914-920-2289. And for our next one, you're going to go ahead and check out the Bronx once again at 2417 Tiemann Avenue in the Bronx for $715,000. You can get yourself a 1-family again, which is 8 rooms, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. Again, sounds really big. And she says it's beautifully maintained with brand new appliances. Definitely check it out. Again, you're going to call Ramjeet Daonoa. She also has this one listed. So she's got 2 there. It's 914-920-2289, and she's with eXp Realty. Our next one here is over in the Canarsie section of Brooklyn, 592 East 91st Street, Canarsie, for $1.2 million. It's a multifamily, 3-family to be exact, 18 rooms, 10 bedrooms, 3 baths. This house is very nice, apparently detached, sitting on a pretty large lot. So check that out. Call Stephanie Tim of Keller Williams Landmark at 917-485-1870. And to round it off, we have another one by Stephanie. This is at 107-33 93rd Street in Ozone Park for $699,000. You get yourself a 1-family house, 5 rooms, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's an expanded cape. Apparently has a very large lot, 40 by 77 lot. This is in Queens, and you'll be reaching out to Stephanie Tim over at Keller Williams Landmark 2. Again, 917-485-1870. And that about wraps it up. So thank you very much, guys, for tuning in, and make sure to check out Rosario Law Group. Rosario Law Group is located here in Freeport and also in the Bronx. She's an amazing attorney with 15 years experience. You definitely want to give her a call at 516-517-2340. All right, so we're back here with our guest, Jeff Lindor of the Gentleman's Factory. Jeff, a lot of things we've been handling here. 99 problems when you're growing up, right? But your goal wasn't one of them. And you're a dad.
Yes.
Fast forward, you're a dad. You got 2 kids, right?
Yep, 2 kids.
Two kids. So Jeff Jr. and you got a girl too, right?
Yes, Olivia Lindor.
There you go.
Yes.
So now you're raising a family now.
Yes.
How's it feel being a family man? But you're still in Brooklyn.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, like, it's beautiful. My children, they're like everything to me, right? They're 12 and 9, right? So, I mean, so I'm leaving here, and then I'm going to go to my son's basketball game. He plays AAU basketball, and he's only 12, and he's 5'7", right?
Wow.
So,
yeah, you're tall, man. What's your height?
So I'm 6'3".
6'3". All right, I'm 6'1". I felt like there was a little bit of a thing there. I'm gonna wear my heels when I'm with you Nice, man. Did you play?
Yes, high school basketball. Grady High School, and for those who know Grady back in the days, it was like a really popular basketball program. There were some folks who went up to the NBA, etc. So it's really
That's a big deal. It's funny. Lamar Odom went to school with me, and I would.
You went to Christ the King?
Christ the King.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
I went to Christ the King only for a couple of years. I couldn't do the parochial school thing. I was a public school kid. So
got it.
Honestly, I transferred myself out.
Okay.
My mother was like, "Why are you not wearing a uniform?" I was like, "I don't go to that school no more."
Yeah.
But yeah, he went to the school, and I remember trying out for the basketball team when he tried out.
Okay.
But the kid was amazing.
I mean, look at where he went.
Yeah, he was amazing. I was like, nah, forget it.
Yeah.
I cut myself.
Got it.
I was like, let me stick to baseball. That was my sport.
Got it.
That's awesome. So your kid's following your tracks.
Yeah, I mean, so my son plays basketball, my daughter swims, right? I mean, so I don't swim, so but she's solid. I mean, and my children are like everything to me.
That's awesome.
Everything.
La influencia que uno tiene sobre los niños, ya usted ve que el papá jugaba baloncesto, el niño ya está jugando baloncesto aquí a los 12 años y él va a ver el juego de su hijo. Is he going to follow the steps that you are up to? Public speaking, community building, community organizing, this that you've been doing. Is he going to follow that?
Well, I mean, so I want to, place my children in position that they just have options, right? So I think people think to the level of what they've been exposed to, right? So I want to expose my children to everything. And then when they make decisions, it's based upon a collective of experiences that they've accumulated. And then they say, hey, I want to do this because they've seen it, right?
That's what I tell my kids. I'm like, you can't eat mac and cheese every day. It's not always, the kids' menu, right? You go to the restaurant and it's always like chicken fingers or French fries.
Yeah.
Ya hay que darle variedad a los niños para que ellos sepan tomar sus propias decisiones. You got to give them the variety. How are they going to know what to do if they're not exposed to it? So
exactly.
I appreciate that you were doing that. And you have a very diverse resume. So talk about somebody who was exposed to things.
Yep.
Big applaud to your parents, by the way. So let's give them a big applaud because without them, you wouldn't be here. And
totally.
I'm just going to read off a couple of things here. You got a bachelor's degree in history.
Yeah.
So, and then you get a master's degree, by the way, in urban policy analysis and management. Now, I want to go back to how does a bachelor's degree in history, like I listen to that and I'm like, okay, you're going to be a history teacher, right? Or you're going to, I don't know, dig up fossils or some sort of thing, right? Like you're going to look through books of writings and so forth. How does this translate to what you're doing today? Because there's a lot of people listening out there that they're like, I don't know what to study. And this is something that, might inspire them.
Yeah. I mean, because if you don't know the past, then how are you going to better understand the future, right? And I needed to understand how this all came about, right? Like, how did slavery happened, or how did, what's the history in the island of Hispaniola, right? Or, the transatlantic slave trade, or, the Cuba embargo, etc. So all of these things I needed to understand and learn because I'm a, product of public schools in which, the schools didn't necessarily teach me those things, right? So I just needed to understand life, right? From a deeper lens outside of what I was taught. So then that's why I wanted to get a bachelor's.
Do you feel that sometimes is what is the invisible wall keeping people away?
Yeah.
Because I for example, and again, I'm doing this program, there's so much that gets discovered that even when I've had a couple of guests, you find out that there's something that they've left out of the story.
Yeah.
And later on, they'll pop up because they'll just say, oh, I just remembered. And I'm like, how many of those things were forgotten from history books?
Oh, for sure. Oh my God. But then also it's like, who's writing the history books, right? Because if the victor writes the history books, then he or she is going to write it based upon their perspective, right?
Right.
If the victims were to write the history books, it would be a completely different, perspective. So yeah, I mean, and then I think I love to learn, right? Because I realize that the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know, right? So it's like a sea of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Like I see knowledge as like the Atlantic Ocean, right? And then we are a teacup, right? So once we put a teacup in the Atlantic Ocean, we're filled to capacity, but there's so much that we don't know, right? So that's essentially how I'm viewing things, right? So it's like I'm trying to maybe not be a teacup, but maybe be a bucket, right? You know what I mean? Or maybe be something that's a bit bigger.
Right.
But even with that, I'm still limited. Hence why I create community, because if we put thousands or millions of buckets together, then we become the Atlantic Ocean.
Right. Wow. Listen, I love this. And obviously history is something that you think you've seen it once, but I'm sure you've gone back and you're like, oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. So, señores, la historia, lo que pasa, historias son contados de generación a generación a generación, pero vale mucho quién la está contando y que se está viendo todo en la historia, porque a veces hay pedazos que se quedan afuera. And this is very interesting that you, having gotten your degree in history, are still uncovering things through your community.
Of course.
And there are things like you mentioned, it depends who's the victor or the victim, right? Mm-hmm. Not always the cowboys are the good guys, right? Yeah. Sometimes, the story was just written in a sort of way because the star happened to be John Wayne.
Yeah.
You know, so he can't lose.
Of course.
So it wasn't an accurate depiction, but this has a way of shaping us. Now, for somehow you decide to switch, you don't get a master's in history. It says urban policy analysis and management. I have no idea where we're going at with this. What changed here?
I just wanted to know how community worked. Right. From the very details of it. Right. From the intricacies of how does tax law work? How does real estate work? Right. How does zoning work? Right. How does a bill become a law? Like, what is policy? How do those things...
You don't remember a conjunction?
Yeah, no, definitely not like that, right? Like, what are the nuances of these things, right? So having that degree, I really got a really better comprehensive approach as to how to approach community.
Yes.
From the specifics, right? From laws to taxes to real estate to zoning to all of those things.
Well, let me read a couple of things that were on your resume here. Strategic advisor, New York City Department of Corrections.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. You also had you had clients who were the New York City Administration for Children's Services.
Yeah.
Various things. City University of New York.
Yeah.
You were a student, then you come back and you're an adjunct lecturer.
Yeah.
So you're speaking to students who want to hear from you. At this point, you reverse the table. And we're talking about also you worked in the private space, with healthcare. I mean, brand strategy advisor, that's a big deal.
Totally.
How does history play a role in all of this, or even urban policy? How do the two come together to get the message across and engage the public?
Yeah, I'm really blessed and fortunate to have such a diverse background. I started out in banking, and then I did healthcare, and then I did, public policy, and I did the, city government, et cetera. And what that taught me was community is so vast, and then you tackle it based upon where your skill sets are and what your passions are, right?
Yeah.
So I dabbled in education, I dabbled in healthcare, I dabbled in public policy, et cetera. And then I use that collective knowledge to ask myself, what problem do I want to solve? Right?
Yeah.
And then I saw in all of the places that I was in that there is such an isolation factor amongst people of color.
I love that you said that, because that's going to come right into the point where it's like, it's not just, hey, all the accolades of Jeff and Jeff being this mighty, all supreme, because, essentially then all the bearing in the shoulders, it's all on you, right?
Yeah.
It's all on your shoulders. And it's unfair. We have to empower the community to come out and play and come out and play together.
Yeah.
Like really be, forgetting about who's wearing what color and who's standing on what side of the block. It's like, listen, we've got to play together because the entire world depends on it.
Yep.
This is the type of creature we were made to be. Absolutely. Honestly, the world could function without a human being. But once you've got a human being, and we're, made in, say, God's image, right? As we're taught, then we've got to do something godlike.
Absolutely.
And coming out and playing with one another is the way to do it. And I think that we definitely need to break apart all of these things that are getting in our way. And I got to say that there's a song that's a rock song, by the way, and it's called Come Out and Play by The Offspring. And it says just that, because we've got to stop looking at each other and creating all of these blocks between one another, these invisible walls. And we've got to just get out there and come out and play. So let's go to that.
De regreso con Anthony from the neighborhood.
That's right, folks. Come out and play. We've got to go ahead and connect with one another. And I've got the master himself who's doing that. Jeff, why don't you tell him what's your Instagram?
My personal Instagram is Mr. Community. So that's MR.
There you go. There you go, Mr. Community.
Yes, Mr. Community NYC.
There you go, Mr. Community NYC. And this guy's all about that. And let's start with what you started with, which was Groom Success. And that was an education consulting firm. And now, the more famous one, the one everybody knows you for is Gentleman's Factory. You got the hat right there.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Gentleman's Factory.
Yeah, I mean, so based upon like the collection of experiences that I had professionally, also growing up and being a immigrant, foreign born, so I have a world and worldly vision. I then said, why are people so disconnected, particularly people of color, and particularly the men in our communities? Like, where are we? Like, why are we not talking? Why are we so disconnected? And then, I can, I'm pretty sure that you can attest to this too.
Yeah.
Like, anytime you see someone that looks like you in a specific space where there's not a lot of you there, you're like, oh, there's like a pride, right?
You feel like that's, absolutely. You feel like that's your anchor point,
right.
Like finally I can relate.
Exactly. And then all too often we're the minorities in these powerful spaces, right? So then it's like, why? So there's a number of questions. Why are we the only ones in these rooms that look like us while like we're the minorities, right? And then number two, it's like, why are we so isolated and how can we come together? And then what is the platform and where are the spaces where we could discuss business, but then also discuss fatherhood and relationships and
a challenge for many men.
Exactly.
A challenge for many men. So ya usted sabe que muchos señores que están allá afuera, ustedes me están escuchando, no quieren hablar de sus sentimientos, sus problemas, todo lo que trae la vida. Y aquí está un lugar donde usted lo puede hacer con personas que se parecen como a usted. Estamos hablando de personas, el problema que yo tengo como un latino puede ser bien relativo a una persona que tiene un problema similar, pero no sea latino, porque somos minorías, right? Because we're minorities, we could relate to the situation because, we have a story where we came here as an immigrant, we have a story where we're not the same, as everybody else in the room. So how do you handle that, right? How do you get accepted? And, for me, in many cases, I've been accused of like, hey, you're too passionate, too much energy here. You know what I mean? And you're like, well, at home, if I don't speak this way, I don't get fed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, so then when I started Gentleman's Factory, it was just that, right? It was like, how do we solve this isolation problem and how can community come together and solve some of the issues that's within our communities, right?
Yeah.
So then that's when I resigned from my career in public policy to then pursue this full time.
A very high paying check, by the way.
Yeah.
Señores, le estaban pagando muy bien a él en el trabajo y él dejó esto por sus sueños. And this is something that I heard you say before. Believe in what you believe in and you'll find a way to get it done.
Yes.
Because you had your challenges to reach that point.
Absolutely.
Why don't you just tell us like one of them that was like, is a wake up to the point where you're like, I better be all in or I'm all out.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember during the global pandemic, so Gentleman's Factory has physical locations, right? Where we, have meetings or where you can book a conference room. It's like a co-working social space, right?
Right.
So then during the pandemic, in the very beginning, early stages of the pandemic, I was on a BJ's line getting some toilet paper, right? Fighting people for toilet paper, right?
Yeah.
And then my phone rings and it was a friend of mine who I used to work in the healthcare industry with, right? So then he says, hey, like there's this chief marketing officer position that's available for one of the top organizations, etc.
Wow.
Are you interested? And if you are, you don't even have the interview. Like the job is yours. And then it was like, over $300K a year, right?
$300,000 al año, señores. Y le dijo a él, ¿qué? What did you say?
I said, no, I'm not.
No. Le dijo que no. Wah, wah.
Yeah,
he just canceled them right there.
Yeah.
So, and this is how passionate you were about getting this thing going. And we're talking about, a place, an incubator space, like a resource for people of the community. Now, people would ask me, how do you make money doing that? Like, how does this all work? And, if you could just kind of break us into that light, because I know a lot of people are like, hey, you know what? I'm out somewhere. Maybe, I don't know if you're looking to build chapters, but maybe they feel they have the leadership skills to bring their community together.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that, was it your degree? What are some of the skills and how does this all come together?
Yeah, I mean, so, the power of community first, like when I resigned from my career, I went to a group of close friends and I said, hey, I never want to go back to work again because I want to solve the problem of isolation across the world. And I want to dedicate my life to this. So if I run into a financial hardship, would you back me? And if I run into an opportunity, would you back me? So they said yes to both. So then that's when when I got exposed to the duplex loft. One of the locations that we're still at today, it's on Flatbush and Empire. And then I was able to raise, at first, about like $100,000 just to get it going.
Wow.
Right? Just from friends, right?
Yeah.
And then, we've obviously raised a whole lot more money since then. Like we're close to 7 years now, right?
Yeah.
In this. But, the way that essentially works, it is membership based, right? So members pay monthly, quarterly, or annually, investment
Correct.
to themselves, building a community which we pour into them, right?
Yeah,
So-
no, I've heard about also members getting involved with real estate and so
Exactly,
forth. Like
exactly.
you've developed, it's not just going there to learn something, but they're also developing themselves in terms of business for themselves.
Absolutely. Like on an annual basis, like tens of millions of dollars of money exchanges being, happening because, like we're bringing folks together. So now, this broker is using that broker, right?
Yeah.
Or, this person is using this person to broker a deal, or businesses are being started.
No, and all over the world, you've got people coming in from everywhere. So like folks can literally just sign up to be a member and not even be in this country.
Yeah, yeah.
So by the way, why don't you give out the website in case there's people that are interested and really want to know more? What's the website?
Oh, so it's gentlemansfactory.com. So, and then it's gentlemen with the MENS, right? So
Gentlemen's.
Yeah.
Gentlemen's. And they're not
Just
all
like
gentlemen
how the hat.
because I looked at your groups here, and obviously there's you, the founder, Juan Perez, the marketing, and Diedrich Paul, who's in recruitment and so forth. Many thanks to him. He sent me over a lot of info, but now there's women there.
Of course.
There's Nicole, Marie, Nadia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, we have a diverse core team, and then salute to all the women who really keep this going. I mean, my our general manager, Nicole Dillon, she's the one who runs the show, right? So she's the one who
Big shout out to Nicole.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and then we are developing more facets of the company.
Love it.
So we are developing a women component down the line as well, so we're developing the ladies factory, etc. So
Awesome.
yeah, so we're just
Well, I got a little question for you because we've got a little segment in here, and it's a question that I pull out of a box. So this is a mystery box.
Okay.
Let me go pull one out here. No one knows what's in here, and I don't know what's in here. As you can see here, there's nothing there. So the question comes up to you, and hopefully I'm not pulling from the wrong side.
Okay.
But pretty much this is something that helps me get a question answered that I wouldn't even have thought of because it's completely random. So
sure. Okay.
let's see what your question is.
Oh Lord.
Is it ever okay to be mean to someone? That's the question.
So the answer is no. It is okay to be firm and also to be consistent and to be direct. To be mean, I see mean as intentionally trying to hurt someone's feelings.
And this comes from the man himself, Mr. Community NYC is telling you, señores, no sean malos con las personas. Usted no puede ser malo con la intención de que esté bravo, de que lo quiera hacer daño. Usted puede ser firme y puede ser directo con la persona, pero no para hacerle negativo y cosas malas. So it's truly, keep the negative stuff away. You can be assertive. You can state your, draw your line in the sand, but don't go beyond that.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the man who makes communities make it happen every single day. So every single guest, I've been getting the perfect question, and I have no idea how this thing's working. I got to say, Jeff, listen, I've spent a great time with you. I feel like, this is a to be continued.
Yes, for sure.
Because it looks like you guys are doing some amazing stuff. And I think that you've really found a way to put everything together, all your skill sets, to achieve a purpose.
Yep.
And involving the community is really spectacular. Is there any final thoughts you want to give to someone who's listening and maybe wants to get inspired?
Yeah, I mean, one, I would say to definitely apply for Gentleman's Factory membership, right? So
Absolutely.
We have a lot of really big things happening this year. We're buying buildings this year.
Yes.
We're expanding in different parts of New York and beyond, et cetera. So that's one. And then number two, I would say never whisper your dreams. Shout it out loud and let the universe adjust, right? So a lot of times people just, put everything inside, and then there's just so many dreams that they have that it's just in their minds. Start.
I love it.
Talk to people.
I love it.
Build it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then surround yourself with a community too, because they're the ones who help to push you forward.
I love it. And if you guys are watching on video, he was looking right at the camera when he said that. So folks, he's serious. I learned a lot from you here. And I'm glad we finally got to meet in person. Folks, I was a part of Gentleman's Factory's boot camp, and I got to say, it's an amazing experience, and the people he brought on there to speak. And we did this all through Zoom because it was during COVID.
Yep.
guys, be a part of something bigger than what you are. And if you have a dream, scream it as loud as you can. These are my takeaways, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm taking this away from you. Scream as loud as you can. And something I learned from you, Jeff, is you can't take anything for what it is. You have to find a way to put the puzzle pieces together. Yeah. And it was a great thing you said about the Atlantic Ocean and the teacup.
Yeah.
And you can go to the ocean with a teacup, but in your case, you're coming to the ocean with a bucket.
Yep.
And I think at the end of it, when you're coming back, and I'm just going to add my part, is you've got a bunch of sunflowers that are dying of thirst. And it's like you're the guy who's like, taking your bucket, popping holes in them and giving them what they need as much as they can take at a time.
Wow.
So I appreciate you making it snackable, you're making it digestible, and creating a space where it's like, everybody finds their own little pocket, to absorb their thing at their pace, and be what they want to be. Give them that courage. So thank you so much, Jeff, for coming through. Señores, muchas gracias por ustedes escuchar este programa y conocer a Jeff Lindor, Gentleman's Factory, Mr. Community NYC, y síguenlo a él en Instagram para que aprendan más y sea parte de esa organización. Es algo muy impactante. Guys, thank you very much. And until next time, I'll be seeing you back in the neighborhood.
De regreso con Anthony from the Neighborhood.